My stepdad said, "You're not part of this family's decisions," until I inherited my late father's share of the business. My real dad died when I was 14, heart attack during a sales conference in Atlanta. Mom remarried within 2 years to Philip, one of Dad's former business partners. He had a Mercedes and season tickets to the Blackhawks. Mom said he was stable. What she meant was he had money. The first time Philip said it, I was 16. We were sitting around the dining room table discussing whether to expand the manufacturing facility. I'd read the proposal my dad had drafted before he died, found it in a box in the basement. I suggested we follow his original plan. Philip set down his fork and said, "You're not part of this family's decisions." Mom just stared at her plate. He said it again when I was 18, picking a college. I wanted Northwestern, where Dad went. Philip insisted on a state school. Cheaper. Better value. "You're not part of this family's decisions," he repeated when I protested. I went to Northwestern anyway, using money from my dad's life insurance that was in my name. For 6 years, I kept my distance. I'd visit Mom for holidays, endure Philip's stories about closing deals and expanding markets. He'd redecorated Dad's office, thrown out his photos, replaced them with abstract art that cost more than my tuition. The company was thriving under his leadership, he'd remind everyone, as if Dad had been holding it back. Then the lawyer called. Apparently, Dad's will had a clause. When I turned 25, his 40% ownership stake in the company transferred directly to me. Not to Mom, not held in trust, directly to me. Philip had spent 6 years thinking Mom controlled those shares as surviving spouse. He'd been wrong. The emergency board meeting was scheduled for the following Monday. I walked into that conference room in Dad's old office, now Philip's office, with the original expansion proposal under my arm. Philip sat at the head of the table, my mom beside him looking smaller than I remembered. The other 3 board members, Dad's old friends, smiled when they saw me. "This is inappropriate," Philip said. "She has no business experience. She has 40% of this business," the company's lawyer corrected. "That makes her the second largest shareholder." I slid the proposal across the table. "This is what Dad wanted to do before he died. The numbers still work. I had an analyst review them last week." Philip didn't even look at it. "Your father's ideas were outdated. I've modernized this company." "By cutting worker benefits and outsourcing production?" I asked. I'd done my homework. "Dad built this company on quality and loyalty. You've turned it into a profit machine. That's called business," Philip snapped. "That's called betrayal," I replied. I turned to the other board members. "I'm calling for a vote to implement my father's expansion plan and restore the original employee benefit structure." "You can't do that," Philip said, his face reddening. "I can," I said calmly, and I just did. The vote was 4-1. Philip was the only no. 3 months later, the expansion was underway. The employees who'd worked with my dad for decades stopped avoiding eye contact with me. They started sharing stories about him, things I'd never known. How he'd personally paid for one guy's daughter's surgery. How he'd given another worker 6 months of paid leave to care for his dying wife. Philip tried to block every decision I made, but I had the shares and the board's support. 6 months in, he resigned. Said he couldn't work in an environment where his expertise wasn't valued. Mom stayed with him. She called me twice, asking if I understood what I'd done to her marriage. I understood perfectly. Last week, I moved into Dad's old office. I'd had it redecorated back to how he kept it. His photos back on the walls. His desk returned from storage. The company's doing better than ever. We're hiring locally again. The profit margins are slightly lower, but employee retention is up 40%. Sometimes I sit in Dad's chair and think about that phrase. "You're not part of this family's decisions." Philip was right about one thing. I wasn't part of his family. I was part of Dad's legacy, and that turned out to be worth considerably more.